Hey you guys, in today's video we're going to talk about some basics of watercolor. So we're going to talk about brushes and my favorite paint colors and my palette and how I manage my palette. So without further ado, let's get started. I wanted to do just a bare bones basic video for some of my new students who may be completely new to watercolor, and I just wanted to share with you some of the things I think you will need to get started. And I'm including in this list just the basics. There's other things that you might want to try as you go along your watercolor journey, but the things that I'm going to tell you about today are the things that I think you basically cannot live without. So first of all, you need a palette. This is a palette. It's plastic, and I got it years ago. I've been using the same one for at least 15 years. A lot of artists like to use porcelain palettes. They say that the water doesn't bead up on them as much, but I have not had a problem with this palette. And the way that I manage my watercolor paints is that I buy them in this form, in a tube form. This is a 37 milliliter size, which is kind of the larger size. This is the more typical size you see in stores. And then I'll just squeeze about a third of the tube into the well, like this is burnt sienna. And the way that I organize my palette is similar colors together. Like these are my greens, then my burnt sienna, two warm colors, which is Quin Gold and Winsor Green Gold, and then a red, my Naphthol Red, Ultramarine Blue, Winsor Violet. This is a kind of a pink magenta color. It's Quinacridone Rose, I believe. And then there's some more blues over here that I don't use very much. Over here, this is Phthalo Blue, Cobalt Blue. I'm thinking indigo is going to have a permanent home on my palette. I'm thinking, although cerulean is vying for a spot, I might change out one of these greens. I hardly ever use a green straight from the tube. So I have several greens here that I barely ever use. So they might go, and I might put cerulean in there. And then over here is my lamp black. So they're pretty much organized from warmer to cooler, quite roughly. But this is how I've organized my palette for years, and it's just kind of second nature to me. So that's just how I do it, and you should organize your colors in a way that makes sense to you. I also keep this corner one just for a green that I keep pre-mixed, and it's like a dark toned down green. In other words, it's not as saturated. It's kind of a green basically added with the red added to it, just to have a more natural green ready to go, so I'm not always having to mix it every single time I need a muted dark green, because I do use a muted dark green a lot. So that's basically my palette management. Also, you will see I don't clean my palette after every use. All this is completely reusable. All you have to do is spray it, and you can use these colors again that are already here. And if you're mixing a dark passage, you can just take a bunch of junk off your palette and use that. Let's talk about the colors I would suggest you have starting out. So that would be a Naphthol Red, which is this by M. Graham. This has been a great red. It's a basic, true red. So I would say make that your red. Just my suggestion. Quinacridone Gold. This is a great yellow that I have yet to find a problem with. It's somewhat new. I have been trying to find a yellow forever. I'm never happy with any of the results. Lemon yellow's too bright. Cadmium's too chalky. Aureolin, it gets a little grayed down when it's mixed with some colors. I don't like that. And I have not run into any problems with this other than it's quite strong. But Right now, quinacridone gold is my favorite yellow. Burnt sienna, I use that a ton. It's considered an earth color in that when you add it to other colors, it kind of grays them down. But this is a color I have to mix my blacks. I use burnt sienna and ultramarine to mix my blacks. And you can also use burnt umber for that. And there's other combinations too, but that's my combination right now, and I'm sticking to it. So I use burnt sienna in almost every single painting. And if you are going to be painting animals, you just got to have burnt sienna. It's a great paint color that makes so many different fur colors. It's indispensable for animal artists, I think. Lamp black is another one. If you don't want to mix blacks, or you just need a black to quickly get for a small area, especially, I use a lot of lamp black. Lamp black also is like an earth color in that it grays down colors, and it can be great for that as well. The other color I would suggest is an ultramarine blue as your main blue. It is very flexible in that it can make a lighter blue, it can make a darker blue. It's my blue I use to mix my black. It makes a good sky. That's a good blue if you only want to buy one blue. If you want to buy two blues, also get cobalt. If you want to buy three blues, also get, I would say, cerulean. Ultramarine blue, quin gold, naphthol red, lamp black, burnt sienna. Oh, the other color that I would suggest you maybe get is permanent green light. Permanent green light by Daniel Smith. That is this color right here. And you can see it's a very bright, green. It's almost a green that you would expect to get if you mixed phthalo blue with lemon yellow. It's just a very vibrant, bright, saturated green, almost neon, and it almost always needs to be grayed down, but it makes beautiful cat's eyes. So if you're painting a lot of cats, it's quite useful just to have that on hand. And also when I'm mixing greens and I want a fresh, young looking green, that is the backbone of my mix. So I use a lot of permanent green light when I'm painting greens. I would also say Winsor green gold is a good one, and maybe a pink color like quinacridone rose would be good. And like I said, cobalt, phthalo blue, and Winsor violet are also other colors that I use a lot. Let's talk now about brushes. These are the brushes that I use the most. This one right here is probably my most expensive one, and it acts like a mop. It's made out of squirrel hair. It's by Alvaro Castagnet. It's like $70 for this brush. And let's see, this is a size 4. You can get a much cheaper mop brush. Okay, and then these Roland Langnickel brushes, I just bought these recently, so these are available on the market. This is a good, smaller, just everyday workhorse size 4 round brush. This is a brush that I use a ton. It's by Simply Simmons, and it's a liner, and it's a size 0. And this is still available on the market, and I use it a ton. I talk about it a ton in my videos, and it's great for tiny little detail work, for painting whiskers. So I highly recommend it. Look, it's already falling apart. I use it so much, and it's only like a few months old. I also use my scrubber brushes a ton. These again are by Roland Langnickel. This is a size 2, and it's the more stiff. They have stiff and soft scrubbers. I never use the soft scrubbers. I'm always using these stiff ones. So this is a size 2. This is indispensable to me, and these are not expensive brushes. Okay, this one is a Princeton size 6 round Aqua Elite, and I've I like it a lot. I haven't been using it a lot, but this is a good basic brush as your round. What I would suggest, and what I don't have because all my other brushes work pretty well, is I would get a round brush size 10, maybe by Royal and Langnickel. Try a Royal and Langnickel size 10 as your larger brush. This one started out as a sable and it's already worn down and I never use it. I have to say I've got several sable brushes and they've all gotten floppy and not very satisfying to paint with. And I don't really recommend buying sable. They're really expensive. And some of these synthetics these days are really great. That being said, I did just buy some black velvet squirrel hair brushes. So I'll have to tell you guys what I think of those. So I would say get a size, let's see, size 10 round. Royal and Langnickel Zen Series size 10 round is what I would suggest for your larger passages. Get a mop brush. And I don't have a mop brush to tell you about because my mop brush is too expensive to suggest right now for you guys. But a mop brush, it doesn't matter. A mop brush is just to get a lot of water in so you can wet large areas. So it doesn't have to be any special brush. Just you need a mop brush. And then maybe a size, let's see. Then I would suggest you get a size 4. Royal and Langnickel Zen is good. And you can't live without a Simply Simmons or really a rigger or liner brush. Just look for rigger or liners. I just really like this one. It has a shorter brush bristle than most riggers and liners. And I just really like this one. So that's why I suggest it, because I know I love it. I use it on every single painting. And the scrubber brush is a must. So I hope you guys enjoyed that video, and I hope you'll join me for the next one, because I'm going to do a few more in this Watercolor Basics series for you guys. And coming up in future videos will be more information about the papers I use, how I prepare my paper, how I tape it down, what I think about stretching, and some of the online resources that I really use a lot, even as an experienced watercolor artist, but resources that would really help you as a beginning watercolor artist. So I hope you guys will be sure to subscribe so you won't miss any of those upcoming Watercolor Basics tutorials coming soon. Okay, thanks so much for tuning in, you guys. I really appreciate it. I love hearing from you. So be sure to leave me a comment. And if you're interested in learning from me more closely, I would love for you guys to join me on Patreon as well, where I teach on a more in-depth level. I provide downloadable traceables, reference photos, and you can learn from me in depth, in real time, and watch me paint and explain all at the same time. So I hope you guys will join me there, and there is a link in the description below. All right, you guys, thanks so much again, and I will talk to you soon.